See Biology, 5th chapter Morphology of flowering plants. In this video, we are going to see the revision notes for the exams, some of the important topics for the exam. Morphology means study of external features of an organism. So in the flowering plants, it's morphology we are going to study in this chapter. So one of the 3 marks question is the various types of roots in the plants. There are taproot in dicot plant where primary root differentiates into secondary root and secondary root differentiate into tertiary roots. Second is fibrous root, and fibrous root we can find in monocot plant where we can find from the base of the stem there are large number of roots are going to originate. Such roots are called as fibrous roots. And in adventitious root, 1 marks very important question this one. Adventitious roots are not born from the radicle. Basically roots are going to arise from the radical part of the germinating seed. So adventitious roots, they are not formed from the radical. Another 3 marks very important question is different regions of the root. The first region is region of cell division, that is present at the tip of the root having meristematic tissue for the rapid cell division. Second region is region of elongation, and third region of maturation. In the region of maturation we can find root hairs. Then in the modification of root, 1 mark questions they are going to ask. For example, in banyan tree we can find prop root, and these prop roots are meant for support and they arise from the branches, not from the radical. They arise from the branches, prop roots. Then stilt root we can find in sugarcane and maize. They are also responsible for the support. And 1 mark very important question, nematophores, example in rhizopora, these roots grow upward from above the ground, ground for the sake of respiration. Nematophores are responsible for respiration, important for 1 mark. Now 3 marks question is venation and its type. Venation means mode of arrangement of veins and veinlets in the leaf. On the leaf, the arrangement of veins and veinlets is called as venation. There are 2 types of venation in the plants. Reticulate venation in dicot where we can find the network of veins, and parallel venation in monocot where veins are parallel to each other. Another 3 marks very important question is phyllotaxy and its type. Phyllotaxy means pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem. Pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem. There are 3 types. First one is alternate phyllotaxy where the single leaf present at each node. In opposite phyllotaxy we can find a pair of leaf at each node, leaves at each node. Whereas in whorled type of phyllotaxy you can find more than 2 leaves arising from the node. It is called as whorled phyllotaxy, important for 3 marks. Another 3 marks question is inflorescence and its types. Inflorescence means arrangement of flowers on the floral axis. There are 2 types, racemose and cymose. In racemose, older flowers are at the bottom and young flowers are at the top. Whereas in cymose type of inflorescence, older flowers are at the top and young flowers are at the base. That is called as inflorescence and its types, important for 3 marks. Now for 2 marks they'll ask the 4 whorls of the flower. Flowers are the reproductive structures. It has 4 whorls. Outer is calyx, then corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Androecium is a male reproductive part, gynoecium is a female reproductive part of the flower, whereas calyx and corolla are the accessory whorls. Then flower symmetry for 2 marks, very important. Actinomorphic flowers means these flowers can be cut into 2 equal halves from any plane. That is called as actinomorphic. Whereas zygomorphic flowers can be divided into 2 equal parts, that is only from 1 vertical plane. Another 3 marks very important question is different types of flowers based on the position of the ovary. So based on the position of the ovary there are 3 types of flowers. Hypogynous flower. In hypogynous flower, gynoecium occupies the highest position, that is above the thalamus. So such type of ovary is called as superior ovary. Whereas in perigynous, ovary is known as half inferior. Ovary is half inferior and half superior, perigynous. And in epigynous, ovary is inferior. It is completely inside the thalamus. So based on the position of the ovary, there are 3 types of flowers: hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. Calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower. Its units are called as sepals. For 1 mark, they'll ask gamosepalous and polysepalous definition. Gamosepalous means if the sepals are united in the flower, that is condition is called as gamosepalous. If the sepals, which are the units of calyx, if the sepals are free, it is called as polysepalous. Similarly, second bright whorl of the flower is corolla. Its units are petals. 1 mark they are going to ask, if the petals are united, it is called as gamopetalous. If the petals are free, it is called as polypetalous. These are 1 mark terms important to the exam. Now come to one of the 5 marks question for the exam, estivation. Estivation means mode of arrangement of sepals and petals in the flower. Sepals and petals arrangement is called as estivation. There are 4 types of estivation. Valvate estivation. In valvate estivation, we can find sepals or petals just touch each other without overlap. In twisted estivation, sepals or petals are overlap to next sepal or petal. Imbricate estivation. In imbricate estivation, sepals and petals overlap each other in randomly. There is no particular order. Whereas in waxillary type of estivation, largest petal or sepal overlap two wings, 2 sepals, which they are called as wings, and those wings are laterally overlap the 2 anterior petals called as keel. These are the 2 anterior petals called as keel. So estivation definition and its types are very important for 5 marks. Now androecium is the male reproductive part of the flower. Its units are called as stamens. Stamen is made up of anther and filament. So if the stamen are sterile, means unable to produce pollen grains or unable to reproduce, such type of stamen is called as staminode. Important for 1 mark. If the stamens are attached to the petal, it is called as epipetalous. If the stamens are free, it is called as polyandrous. If stamens unite to form one bundle, that condition is called as monoadelphous. If it is forming 2 bundles, diadelphous. More than 2 bundles, polyadelphous. These are all 1 mark terms important to the exam. Gynoecium is a female reproductive part of the flower. Its units are called as pistil or carpel. The pistil or carpel made up of 3 parts: stigma, style and ovary. If the carpels or pistil are free, that condition is called as apocarpus. If the carpels or petals are united, the condition is called as syncarpus. 1 mark important question. Another 5 marks important question for the exam from this chapter is placentation and its types. Placentation is the arrangement of ovule inside the ovary. This is ovary. Inside the ovary, how the ovules are arranged, that is called as placentation. There are 5 types of placentation. Marginal placentation you can find in pea. Axial placentation you can find in China rose and hibiscus. Parietal placentation you can find in mustard. Free central placentation you can find in primrose, and basal placentation you can find in sunflower. So placentation definition and its types are very important to the exam. Now students, fruit is a matured and ripened ovary. After fertilization, ovary converts into fruit. If the fruit is formed without fertilization, it is called as parthenocarpic fruit. Very important for 1 mark. If the fruit is formed without fertilization, is called as parthenocarpic fruit. And children, after fertilization, ovule transformed into seed. So these are some of the very important questions and answers from the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants. So I hope you understood. Thank you, students.